Game 1 goes the way of Capoch, able to choke out Lucifron, but Lucifron makes sure he doesn't fall in the same trap twice. He won't allow Capoch to rush this one to an end, but we'll have to see if Lucifron can rush an end as we head into Game 3. No mirror matchup here, my friends. It is going to be HRE versus England on Hill and Dale. Now, this is quite the disc that Lucifron's about to try and spin. I've seen this a few times, and this is a weird one, a wild experience, because although Hill and Dale seems like a very easy, defendable location for a civ like the HRE, England, with this kind of slow but very decisive control point situation where they drop outposts close to your base, can actually choke you out of the game very quickly. I've actually seen it a few times, especially against HRE players, because they're a more greedy civ. Same with Delhi as well. Anything that looks to play a little bit longer in the game and thus not be militarily present early is susceptible to this early aggression from civs such as England. So I'm intrigued to see how Lucifron's going to make this work. I think the whole concept, and oh my god, the concept is good. I was about to say, it's the fact that he has stacked eco close by so it's efficient to begin with. And this is good. This right here, this is a dream. Mwah! This is exactly what you want if you're England. You're going to min-max your food early, which is going to allow you to push out and birth a few more of those Lombo to get across the map quicker. Meanwhile, on the other side, get wrecked. Oh, no. Imagine being the HRE player, picking this map so you have stacked condensed eco points so you get maximum value out of an Archon Chapel. And you don't get the deer. You don't get the Holy Trinity. You do at least get berry bushes, but really you want deer here and then the golden wood here so an Archon Chapel could buff all three. Instead, you're going to have to make a choice. Do I want the deer? Do I want the wood? Or do I want the gold and the wood? And in most cases, a lot of these players will choose gold and wood. However, in this situation, picking gold and wood could leave you vulnerable to the outpost rush we were talking about, because Lucifron is most likely, or at least from Capoch's perspective, to come from this central pass. And it means that he's going to outpost around here, denying this wood line quickest. And that's the wood line that Capoch is playing into. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to play out that way. Reason being is, if you look at this generation, it's actually quite beneficial to Capoch. He buys a lot more time with this layout because Lucifron has to come out from the west side, and then he has to wrap around and go across to the east side of the center to go up. So it's actually going to take a long time for slow static English longbowmen to move across the map in this situation. I think in a lot of ways, Capoch kind of lucked out with this generation. He probably won't feel it when he looks back and sees what Lucifron got at the start. But yeah, I 100% have to feel like this is really good for Capoch. That extra time, that extra 20, 30 seconds of running around, tediously going around these tree lines, going across the map, just to try and get to your opponent's base, it's going to slow down the pressure point. And when you consider how quickly HRE scale up into castle, it might be the difference that allows him to instantly get up into castle, get the initial knights out, and then completely push Lucifron away. I can't believe he didn't get any I mean, I know he's got 3 entrances, but like, really? Like, it's not even just the fact that he got the central entrance on the left side. It's the fact that there's a tree line in front of it as well. Like, how much can the game hate you? I think what happened here is the Microsoft gods, they're like, oh, that's actually a really broken generation. We gave him deer and berries right next. How do we fix this? And as it scans down, it's like, I'll put his exit here. I'll put a wood line here. And then I'll put his opponent's entry line on the other side. Oh, the map gods are evil. And Capoch already prepping those palisade walls to keep his opponent at bay. Nicely placed as well. Will deny a crawl in of outposts. Really critical to do so. Love to see it on the other side here as well. So there's no easy way in at all for Lucifron. And all of a sudden, you kind of get that feeling. Does Lucifron play early or does he play late? Can you really play late as against HRE? That's the bigger question. That's the strokey chin moment, followed by the not really. Because HRE, like when you're up against HRE, if you're not able to pressure your opponent, and they're not militarily present early on, then your game is screwed. This civ booms so quickly that if you give them a 5-minute gap, they'll probably be Imperial Age. That's how absurd it is. Castle to Imperial is just a few minutes. So you really need to be actively present. He will at least be able to deny in the fields the access to these relics that Capoch is going to be seeking. But really, when you're playing England, you're all about that high-tempo aggression and feudal. If you're not able to tap that, then you're tapped out. A nice move by the scouts in the meantime to try and block the walls, but they get baited away. Oh, he had to react to the scout, so it looks like the walling is going to be complete. Capoch will ensure no quick way into his base for Lucifron. On Lucifron, I mean, if there's a greedy approach to England that could work against HRE, I've yet to see it. So I would love to be colored impressed in this situation, but if he does go hard into eco, I worry, which is why I'm glad to see the Longbowman coming out. However, I am also concerned because of those initial wallings going down that will continue to the north and the south. So Capoch is going to be enclosed, my lord. No way in. The keep is enclosed, and it means that Capoch is just going to be able to put on his contemplation hat. He's going to put in his little pipe. He's going to rock back and forth in his chair, do the old man jig, and be really happy that there's no pressure early on. And all of a sudden, even with these scouts, it's going to take what feels like a million years to get through. Unless... I wonder, is there a trick in the book? Why, yes. Yes, there is. Chopping the trees and he's in. How could... Like, it feels like we forget about it. We don't see it for so long, and then we see a little choppy, and instantly like that, you're through. However, problematic because Capoch is already dropping the outpost, and he already has archers coming out. So he is looking to prep a defense. But don't you worry, folks. Lucifron's not out yet. He says choppy chop. On the other side. He's like, I don't care. I will get down my outpost one way or another, but he needs to be fast. And the problem is that these palisades give vision, so he saw you doing this, which is why he's able to preemptively react with the outpost being dropped. And he's going to have outpost protection on both sides. Capoch just trying to peel back villagers as they take damage here. Might lose one or two, but as long as he gets the outpost complete. But no! Come on! He's denying himself at this stage. Lucifron doesn't start finishing off the villagers. He actually turns over to the archers instead, allowing the outpost to be completed and will be pushed back. And that's an outpost on both sides. All of a sudden, Lucifron has lost his way in on Hill and Dale. And this is the best he can do. He can at least build an outpost on the side here. Give himself somewhat of a staging point or maybe a choke point to hold his opponent in. But he's going to have to maybe sacrifice one or two longbows, moving in range of that outpost to keep the archers at bay while he constructs this up. Because Capoch knows this is being built. And he wants to intercept it. A nice move by Capoch. He garrisons the villagers, pushes back the longbows, and has to cancel and run away with the villager. But that villager can't run away quick enough. The archers are quicker. And that means Lucifron will not be able to get the forward network of outposts down whatsoever. The only good thing for him right now is he did at least snake in 2 of these scouts. So he'll be able to keep an eyeball on what's coming. But do you really need to know? You're up against HRE. You can't pressure early. I wonder, what is HRE going to do in this game? Is it Eco Boom? I think it's Eco Boom. And that's scary. Nice move in with the longbows on the left side, but nothing exposed here. Capoch has done a good job of solidifying like his protective element, right? Like, you know, he's got sheep being gathered underneath the TC, gold line over here, wood line over here. These 2 outposts, although they did not stop Lucifron from getting in, Lucifron has no value right now on the southern side. Southern side is the weakest point to try and station yourself. There's no pressure. So really, Capoch is pretty much in cruise mode now, unless Lucifron gets something on the forward that changes everything here. Unless he gets, for example, a ram. But he has no blacksmith. He has no intent to play into this. And Capoch is still gathering surplus resources, slowly prepping himself for that castle age. And oh, the quick walling! Totally worth it. He says, I'll give over 1 villager to get rid of those longbows any day of the week because my economy is 40% more efficient than yours, my friend. And they can either die to arrows or jump off the cliff. And because jumping off a cliff actually isn't an option, I guess it's death by arrows. Or death by pew-pew, as I like to refer to it. And that's a lot of breathing room. Still a stable amount of archers. It means that now you can start to just escalate. You can see the food and gold situation. And although Lucifron is trying to replace these troops, it takes him so long to move across. And that's just buying time for Capoch to reach that critical timing. He's even dropping a stable in case he needs a few of these pokey spears on horseback. But I'm not even sure we need it. I think this is just the typical prep for a castle age timing so that you can initially push out those knights as soon as you've built up a Regnitz Cathedral. And this from Lucifron, I mean, this is... This is like when you say, fine, I didn't want to be your friend anyway. Just trying to avoid, like, fine, I didn't want to come in. I didn't want to be part of the HRE lands in the first place. An alert might initially delay the push out. I wonder if Capoch is wise to this. Looks like no. Lucifron's done the right range. He's going to buy himself some time, but how's that time going to be used is the real question. And is it going to be quick enough? No, it's not. Capoch is moving out. Coming out with the horseman, so he's going to spot out what's happening here. Oh, and he might be able to reach the villager at this rate. Not sure if he'd be able to kill it. I think he dies too quickly with Lombos. But, oh my god, Lucifron dodges it. Capoch doesn't know. So he won't know that he's being walled in at all. He won't expect it. That's actually a really big deal. That's going to buy a few minutes for Lucifron. And that's going to stunt the growth of the HRE economy, because if you can't get those prelates out to pick up the relics straight away, every 30 seconds, you feel it. It's a lot of gold trickle that's missing from your eco. And it might give Lucifron a bounce back point, but he's going to need to be aggressive. I don't think he can just use this as an ability to step back and do nothing. The worrisome part is, like, you can't even try to deny these relics outside of palisading them unless you tech up yourself. But right now, he needs to get a big standing army before he even contemplates going castle himself. And there it is. He done it a little bit too close. So the palisade is going to be revealed. The plan is revealed. But don't worry, folks. Lucifron not out of it yet. It doesn't look like Capoch might be quick enough to deny this. However, as soon as I say that, Archer's moving out now. They'll snipe the villager. They'll back away. But remember, there is a second villager here. So Lucifron can still complete the enclosure. He's going to need to. He's also going to need to station his longbow inside. Because I think if you back up like that again... And Capoch will see you walling this off at the end, by the way. And he comes in and instantly snipes that villager. It's going to stunt your timing so much that I think Capoch is going to tech up. He's going to have his initial knights and prelates out, and he won't be enclosed. It looks like it's going to be quick walls for the moment. Lucifron, they're very smart cookie play here, actually. A lot of players would have just done this one by one, but he understands, like, there's a risk associated, and if he loses this one villager, he kind of loses control of the game. And there's the tech up. And it should be knights now being pushed out. Something that Lucifron does not have a clear answer to. Needs to get a decent fight here. Moves out into the archers. Capoch, he was trying to move forward to deal with the walling situation. It means he's going to sacrifice a bunch of these archers, though. And movement in. Trying to snipe out a few of the villies. We'll force them back. And now we'll peel back himself while he completes the walls. He is going to successfully enclose Capoch, but now Lucifron needs the next step in the plan. Grand Architect, speak to me. What are we creating today? More spears. That's pretty much it. And I wonder, does he fall back and start to pin in these relics as well? It could be a big play in this game. You know your opponent is eventually going to burn through these palisades. You don't really have the composition. You don't have the quantity, in fact, to be able to cover all three exits from Capoch's base with such a slow force. So you can see Lucifron, he chooses here because obviously you have two of these passes close by. He can't really afford to go to the south one, but right now Capoch is ignoring it. He's just kind of trying to brunt force his way out. That's going to be a big mistake. He will back off now. Although it will cost him 1 or 2 archers to do so. And I wonder, is this just a switch up? Yep. And Lucifron knows it's coming because he has a scout here. And he's hidden it so well. Oh, it's going to be revealed though. It did get the right info out, though. He now knows that Capoch is going to shift out to the south side and burn these down. Question is, does he respond? Answer, yes. But the real question is it the right move? You know your opponent is going to get out one way or the other, and if you run too many troops down here, what happens in the center? Well, it seems like in the minor Lucifron, he feels like, actually, you know what? I've done enough damage to the archer count. I don't have to worry about the center for now. We'll leave Billy and Timmy, the archer and spearman, to deal with that, and we'll go check in on the south. Now, the good news as well for Lucifron is even after Capoch breaches through these initial knights and man-at-arms. Okay, no. Okay, don't let him breach through these. I was about to say the good news is the prelate isn't here, but the prelate is now waiting. However, Lucifron is quick enough to move across. 23 longbow is going to be problematic for Capoch, even with a tech-up advantage. However, now these man-at-arms up to 7. Uh-oh. All right, he needs to snipe the prelate. Like, you're going to lose the force. Just at least take out a prelate here. He's trying to do what he can against the man-at-arms, but they're so damn tanky. He'll finally get through the religious figure. That'll slow down the pickup of relics, and he is now dealing with the knights as best he can as the spears chase him down. And the longbow count, it's actually effective. The man-at-arms taking a lot of damage. Village is going to move past. And these man-at-arms are a little bit too slow to try and stick on top of that one Villy. Means he will be able to keep his opponent pinned in, but it is costly to do so. And Spear's not able to chase the Knights. That means Capoch, although he can't secure the relics, he can now punish into the eco of his opponent. Important that Lucifron holds 1 or 2 Spearmen in this choke point to delay them and stop them moving through. And he's pushed him back in. Remaining man-at-arms are going to fall back behind their walls. And Lucifron says, yeah, 2 right, get back in there. And in fact, he's going in. Choppy time. Oh, the man-at-arms, the damage. 2 health, 2 health, he can't get it. Oh, and that's going to give the entrance you want. However, do you have the damage to follow through is the real question yet to be answered. Lucifron playing a really dicey style of Age of Empires here in this matchup. Let's see if it works out. That's a sizable force pushing in. A decent amount of man-at-arms waiting for him as they come through, though. Longbow starts to target down. Spearman holding him at bay. Cannon fodder, but tanky cannon fodder. And it means that these man-at-arms looking trivial. By range resistance, you think it would be good, but they're still taking 2 damage per shot, and that is over 20 longbowmen just plowing in. All the while, more racks coming out from Capoch. No play into Le Lanxneck just yet for Capoch. These man-at-arms feeling somewhat trivial. Now they're starting to get stepped out, and oh my god, they're clicking in the back of the formation. That being said, the Lombo count is diminishing, and Lucifron needs some sort of pivot point soon. He hasn't scaled his eco at all. He's been all in on this, and now going into stone this late might sacrifice a lot of control over the center of the map. But this is the play he's looking for. It's not even about the town center play. It's about getting the stone walls down. There's stones on this man. Still, 16, almost 17 minutes in, and not a single relic has been nabbed for the HRE player. What is going on in this game? Longbows now chasing down villagers wherever they can. The man-at-arms never able to reach him. And Lucifron just moving through like this, even if you don't kill the villagers, the fact they're not able to gather because they have to keep running away from these annoying longbows. And the wall wasn't complete. 1 man-at-arms moved out. And all because Lucifron chose to put the stone wall in instead of outside the palisade he already reconstructed. Oh no. This is awkward. Capoch, like I said, has been delayed very notably. But Lucifron still hasn't struck deep. He hasn't given that convincing moment where he's got his opponent over a barrel. And had he got those stone walls down, it's a different situation entirely. But all of a sudden, Lucifron, he's setting himself up. Capoch still trying to burn through the walls. Lucy out of nowhere suddenly scaling enough food because he cut production. And it means he will be able to castle up. However, without those stone walls there, you have to question whether you'll be able to keep Capoch pinned in. For the moment, it is working, but you can see he's now burning through the palisades. And there's not really enough longbowmen here to deal with his man-at-arms. Tech up underway. Lucifron is going into that King's Palace, as expected. Now the stable's going to be dropped as well. He understands this is about to get dynamic. Knights are going to come out quickly from Capoch, so he needs to make sure he's got his own to counter them out and snipe out the prelates in the field. But so far, you have to give so much credit to Lucifron. The amount of pressure he's applied, the boxing factor, the fact that at 18 minutes in, 18 and a half minutes in, the HRE player on Hill and Dale has still yet to be able to secure a single relic is impressive in itself. But let's see how he follows up. And you can see the impact of it. Just look how many people are tapping gold right now for Capoch. He needs all that he can get. Because he's not getting it passively. And now the troopers moving across. Capoch wants to try and pin in Lucifron. Lucifron tech up is now there. Third stable going down. Needs, I say third, sorry, fifth. Sorry, no, third. Five stables for England right now. Okay. I'm sold. Show me what you got, big boy. Longbows will trade out well against the archers, as they have never been upgraded. However, these man-at-arms juiced up when they get in charge mode. Still no blacksmith research. Despite the fact he's playing hard in the man-at-arms, he hasn't bothered to get the marching drills, which is very shocking here. Such a valuable tech that gets overlooked so frequently by these players. And it really would be a difference maker here. Think about it this way. These longbow are always moving away. If you had that extra movement speed, you're always on top of them. And walls going down. Lucifron says, not in my base. I don't think so, sir. First relic is going to be banked. And Lucifron, because he's fallen back and going for a TC on the side, it means he's going to be forfeiting the relics entirely. He has no intent to try and challenge them anymore. Being butchered by knights here and there in the meantime, but outside of a few straggler longbowmen in the middle of the field, there's no one else here to contest these relics from being picked up. And I think this might be just where Capoch suddenly booms up in the blink of an eye. That being said, knights are starting to march out into the center mass. Wrap around from the spears as well. Prelates are shifting out now. And no move for the northern relic. This would be the easy one, but Capoch playing towards the center will be able to secure one. Only needs one more relic to get that maximum 900 gold per minute from the Renix Cathedral. Knight moving in. Will not find the one he was looking for. And Lucifron saw all of this as well because he does have the walls and has the vision. He will at least deny the follow-up relic from being gathered, though. He knows it's pointless to try and fight into this one. The Mosh Pit Man-at-Arms would just hurt too much. Meanwhile, in the back of his base, he finally did get rid of that knight. But there's a sneak in. More Man-at-Arms. No! Lucifron, his greed. He never developed any walls over here. He didn't construct them, so it's so easy for Capoch to walk in with these slow, static Man-at-Arms. Lucifron, however, is scaling his eco well. And we'll be able to snipe out another one of these prelates in the meantime. But damage kind of already done. The rule of thumb is if you're HRE and you get 2 relics in, you're happy. 3 is the bonus. 3 is golden. But, well, 2, I'd say it's at least silver. The silver's still valuable. So Man-at-Arms will be pushed out. This time, Lucifron will be able to enclose himself in the south, but he's still got to worry about the north. And that is where Capoch is going. It's so clowny to watch Man-at-Arms running around like this at this stage of the game. But it's quite effective considering that you don't have crossbowmen and you're England, so you're unlikely to build them. And that's definitely hurting Lucifron a bit here. The fact he doesn't have the option because he hadn't built the archery ranges until now. I wonder if he will start just developing crossbows. I feel like they're so invaluable here. You're playing against HRE. You have to have them. And I think Capoch, he's trying to step up his pressure because he understands now with 3 TCs in play, he can't afford to just be an eco-booming Civ up into Imperial. He needs to actually find a way to punish Lucifron for going this greedy all of a sudden. Moving in with the Man-at-Arms onto the villager line. Going to butcher 1 or 2 of them. The rest are going to be able to garrison successfully, but he needs a counterattack force. He needs it now. And his archers, there's not even crossbowmen coming out. Small skirmishes around, but looks like it's going to be next to nothing achieved. He's able to deny another one of these prelates, but like we said, 2 relics already banked. You're quite happy with this. More importantly, the raids keep continuing in. They are frustrating. Walls are finally going to go down, but he's able to construct them quick enough. Still, 22 eco lead currently for Lucifron. The big concern, however, at this rate, he needs to be careful about how he balances gold in his eco. He hasn't started to really utilize it heavily outside a few knights here and there. And it means that because of the way he's done it so far, he's not going to drain all of his gold resources instantly. But one thing you have to keep in mind when you're playing Hill and Dale is eventually you will have to come out. You will have to play. You do have finite resources on your high ground. And although gold isn't the biggest concern for Lucifron, you know what else is. It's the wood. This wood line that quickly shifts out into the center and will leave you exposed. So he needs to be careful about that. And it looks like there's going to be a central keep coming out from Capoch. A nice move. I think he's had enough of watching prelates die to try and get himself a relic back. So this time he'll ensure that there is no interruption. And it will secure the central gold vein. Once again, gold's going to be a variable very quickly here. Lucifron, if we look at the income, I think he's looking good. He's looking healthy. Food is really good for him right now. Gold is comparative at the moment. Wood is where Capoch is leading, surprisingly, when you're talking about one opponent playing England. But it's all because Lucifron hasn't invested heavily into tapping this wood line yet. He's too busy transitioning hard into food. And I'm getting a weird feeling this could end up crawling out to Imperial. And that's when being static on this high ground, the only thing it hurts you with as England is wood. Because you'll be able to get enclosures, right? You'll get the enclosures, and then you'll be generating gold in these farms. So the only thing he has to worry about is wood. But because he has 3 TCs, he will be able to venture out and be risky with his eco count and not worry about it because he can instantly replace them. And it means that he's going to be able to arrive at that stage in the game quicker than Capoch, because, of course, Capoch doesn't get that until he unlocks the Palace of Swabia. Moving out. Crossbows finally starting to come into composition for Lucifron. It looks like it's going to scare away Capoch. He can't afford to turn around and fight. And unlike enough, I'm seeing this. I see too many England players stubbornly just sticking to Lombos. Lombos would have screwed him over here. Crossbows really is the solution. You're playing against HRE. You have to be sensible about this. And no easy entry anymore. So now you have to start thinking about late game situation and win conditions. I think it's a lot easier for Lucifron to just sit on his high ground and twiddle his thumbs to the rest of this game. And it's for the reasons mentioned, right? Like, you're going to passively generate gold, but surprisingly enough, like, England somewhat compares with enough farms in the late game. And then I think, like, the food efficiency kind of outweighs you as the HRE because you're not going to have prelates on each of these farmlands. So I think what's going to come down to is Capoch, I think he should be playing towards these sacred sites in the coming minutes to force Lucifron out before he's fully ready. And that will also make Lucifron uncomfortable and leave him with no wiggle room to go for a tech up. But it looks like Lucifron, if anything, is prepping an assault force. And I like this play. I think it's very easy to sit on your laurels and say, oh, I'm against, you know, I'm England, I'm free TCs, I'm scaling. But, like, why would you risk needing to drain everything in your base first when you can play to center map and deny a lot away from your opponent? Not only denying it from your opponent, but actually saving it for yourself and then saving these less risky resource deposits for later on if you need to fall back on it. Also just gives you a nice staging point to punish Capoch from. One of the bigger limitations on Hill and Dale is base space. You can run out very quickly in a late game situation. So if you're able to actually deny that central mass and establish your own foothold, all of a sudden the game becomes uncomfortable with Capoch. But it's looking uncomfortable for Lucifron when he rides out and spots this. 2 keeps being dropped, and instead Lucifron's response is going to be a keep of his own. Now, remember, one cool thing you do get as the English in this situation is this keep is a free siege workshop. It's not only a staging point, it's not only a network of castles buffer, it's also going to allow you to push out trebs and then assassinate these 2 keeps in front of you. This is actually a really cool play out of Lucifron. Once again, this relic is never being banked. I don't even know why Capoch is that obsessed. He just wants to make it the Holy 5, right? He's already got 4 of them. He wants that 5th one really badly. And Lucifron even going to scale up his siege production further with a siege workshop. And straight away into boiling oil. Understands that the best way Capoch has currently of getting through these buildings really is man-at-arms. So why not just burn them? Shout out to anyone who got that reference. And this should be a treb play, I think. Like, this has to be. They're so cost-effective in this situation. Your opponent has no counter. I say that. Capoch is up in Imperial. In the blink of an eye, he tapped it up. Palace of Swabia is online, and all of a sudden, Lucifron's eco lead is going to disappear fast. So he needs to find pressure. And he's riding in on the wrong side. He should know this as well. He could have went through the north and exposed everything. There's no way Palace of Swabia gets played to here. You would have probably seen it by now with the walls. But instead, he's going to make his entrance here. Needs to be fast. And it looks like Capoch is out of position. He has to shift back the way he came and make the long route around. He doesn't even care about the sacred sites that Capoch has been taking control of. That's not important to him. He wants to raid in deep. He needs to find value. He needs to punish the fact that Capoch did tech up, that he spent 3,600 resources on a tech up instead of a military army. Moving in, snipes on the villagers, but that's not going to be good enough. I don't think this is the way you win if you're Lucifron. Remember, you're up against the printer. The Love Hotel. Every 5 seconds, a villager coming out for 12 food. Butchering villagers is not going to win you this game. You need to find a more definitive hit. You need to be looking for that Palace of Swabia, but right now, fighting underneath the primary TC is not going to make it work. However, it is going to give him a lead on the military front, as these crossbow are butchering the man-at-arms count. Just a few knights holding them back in his choke point, dancing back and forth, min-maxing the damage they take to ensure they tank for longer. Lucifron, although he is not blowing up buildings, he is blowing up the military count. Capoch now down to 28 units and Lucifron up at 64. This is going to get scary. Keep in the meantime is slowly being blown up. I don't think Lucifron's even noticed this. It is on fire. He's so fixated on the battle in Capoch's base. The problem is now that the man-at-arms have reached his line of crossbows and archers, he's not really dishing out the damage anymore. And you can see, they're tanky. 7 armor, 180 health. They're starting to push him out. Although Capoch looks like he's capped on the food, you have to keep in mind that is going to be fixed very fast now that the farmlands are being set up. A few knights did ride in to spot this out, but spotting out is not good enough. I know I said Lucifron's fantastic on the vision, but he needs to do a lot more. Ay, ay, ay. And while that's happening, a few man-at-arms move into Lucifron's base while he's not looking. Superfluous damage at best, but Lucifron still hasn't noticed that he's losing the keep. 800 stone just down the crapper for nothing, really. He will renew his assault. Really needs to move 1 or 2 villages forward, drop a siege workshop right next to his opponent's base. I think he needs instant siege in here right now. Crossbows. Trying to deal with those man-at-arms, but you're just seeing how trivial the damage looks at this stage of the game. I mean, these elite man-at-arms just do not care. They shrug it off. And just so quickly brutalize these knights. Lucifron's running out of time. We're starting to arrive past that awkward presence of the tech up for HRE. You've started to scale your eco. It's catching up. You're actually able to afford the units you need to push out. You're able to also afford your upgrades because you have this passive gold always coming in. And this is where it just gets scary. I think Lucifron, he needs to be quick about this or it's going to end with a loss very fast. Crossbow count is good. This is where he can start to assassinate these man-at-arms quickly 1 by 1. He really needs to build into the rams right now. I think if he rams down this Regnitz Cathedral and moves on to the Pass of Swabia, this game all of a sudden gets uncomfortable with Capoch. Because this, although he's starting to scale his eco, he's still somewhat fragile, right? He's not there yet. It's not up to 1,000 surplus with him pushing out non-stop man-at-arms. All the while in the center. Villagers moving in. Lucifron understands it as well. It's the teeter-totter point. There is a way he can clearly win this, but he needs to be fast. And it's butchery time. Straight in onto the villagers. He doesn't even care about anything else right now. He just needs to put a curb in this. He needs to starve out Capoch. If only he knew the surplus that Capoch is floating right now, it won't affect him that much. Instead, he needs to address the man-at-arms again. Crossbows. Dishing out the damage. You will see the horseman now come into play. Now, you can shift this to the longbow and deal with the horseman, and the crossbows to min-max onto the man-at-arms. Movement in, coming in with the knights as well. Looks like it's going to be a wall-up attempt coming out from Capoch. The villagers, if they make it in, this could be big. Lucifron, he isn't floating enough for the keep, though. There's no stone play. Oh, no. What's he looking for? Was this a misclick? Just as soon as you think this is a big brain play, I think this is just a misclick. These villagers do nothing. He doesn't have the stone for it, and instead there's going to be stone used by Capoch to drop a defensive keep in his base. But don't worry, the crossbow are here. They're not going to allow it to go up that easily. However, they're not really doing enough damage. Villagers, I think they're going to do it. It's going to be constructed in time, and all of a sudden it's a catastrophe, Lucifron. He can't stage a fight in here anymore. He needed siege weapons. All of a sudden his ability to just freely raid in is not as easily found. Lucifron, the good news for him is look at the numbers. This is all simply a ruse in his eyes. He's at least buying time to tech up himself. And that economical lead that Capoch has had isn't really being realized. He's being checked. He's being tapped at every stage. He hasn't cracked 100 villages. Meanwhile, Lucifron has been min-maxing up at 140 eco units. And now he will build up. It is tech time, daddy. And he's going to be dropping that Berkshire Pass on the front. And you really have to wonder, those villagers, was that a mistake? Or did Lucifron intend to drop the Berkshire Pass in Capoch's base? I wouldn't put it past him. I've seen some funky stuff to counter our HRE players with keeps recently. And that one would have been a keeper. But in the end, he does something more defensive. He sets up a fort base in the center with the racks being dropped now. Needs to address the raids on his northern front here as Capoch is sneaking in with a bunch of these man-at-arms. And this game's going the mile, my friends. It is going to be Imperial on Imperial. HRE just lost their edge. Lucifron at every checking turn, making sure that Capoch does not get an easy win on what is considered the home map of HRE. He'll have to work hard for this one. This keep drop attempt. I'm thinking a player. I'm sensing a player with D in the name. Ooh. That likes castles. Who could it be? Whoever it is not in this game. This is a Capoch castle. Although he wouldn't approve of it. Keep is going to be a big fat fail. Interesting attempt against the Berkshire Pass. I think the word I'm looking for is ambitious. It's going to be a big fat fail though. Meanwhile, Crossbow's just still riding around in here. This is frustrating. I felt like Capoch should have been better off, but he's still being butchered. How is Lucifron at double the eco count of a Palace of Swabia HRE player? We've been in Imperial for a few minutes now. This is absurd. Oh my good lordy lordy. You know Lucifron is booming on the eco front when there's not enough room in his base for farmlands. Time to expand out, he says. And he is flourishing in this series. What a way to drag this out. And now all of a sudden, with so many juiced up knights in the back of his opponent's base, he has that dynamic element that Capoch is lacking. And Capoch, no, I don't want to. No marching drills. How are we 35 minutes into a game with you running an infantry-heavy composition and you don't have marching drills? Oh my god. Lordy, lordy, this was not the way. Forgive him, Father, for he has sinned. And now he's going to be butchered. Elite crossbowman. If you weren't sure if they've been juiced up, just look at the pretty golden hats. All of a sudden, Capoch's composition feels like a giant dog turd as he's just getting slaughtered. Ay, ay, ay. Palace of Swabia, as soon as it produces villagers, it feels like they could instantly be killed. He can't afford to lose his troops here. He's pushing every single military unit to the back of his base. This is all crafted by Lucifron. And this is the value that he's finding. Palace of Swabia at the back of your base? No problem, mate. I'm going to go back there. So when you produce military units, instead of sending them to the front, you're sending them to the back. And I'm still butchering all your poor little peasants. Ay, ay, ay. This game. Bombard's now coming out. Central keeps will not last long. Fort base will fall as well. All of a sudden, Capoch, the advantage that you have in Hill and Dale, the safety of your hill, is about to become your graveyard because you are running out of resources quick, my friend. One wood line is really all you have left. And you still have an entrance. Lucifron, Ford Lumber Camp, why not? If he needs wood, why don't we just take it away from him? More knights riding in. Lucifron splitting up to look for clues as he yoinks everything left, right, and center. Capoch, he thought he was dealing in gold, but he's dealing in mortgage bonds right now because it's all just going up in smoke. It feels like he does not have anything in his favor anymore. Regnitz Cathedral being targeted out by these Sankey Knights. Castle's making it a little bit frustrating for them, but don't worry, my friends. There's plenty more Spaniard Knights with where that came from. As Lucifron, Le Spaniard himself, shows us how England's meant to be played. And this continues to escalate. More racks being built. He wants more blood. Fight going to be forced. Knights peel back easily. Langstake now in the composition for Capoch, but he can never build a big enough military force. He's floating around 20 to 30 milli units. Lucifron always doubling him up and always doing the same on the eco front as well. It feels like Capoch is helpless. He's shifting into the center now. This is going unnoticed, but Lucifron is starting to get more of a foothold in the back of his base where these vital elements of the Palace of Swabia and Regnitz Cathedral are located. Butchery time again. You know, normally it feels tedious to kill these villagers, but when he doesn't bother to get the textiles and, well, you have elite knights, why not? Seems simple enough to me. On the full base, all but gone now. Capoch, he feels like he's drying up a little. If this northern expansion ever gets spotted, that might just be GG. So far, Lucifron, a little bit ignorant. I say ignorant. He's playing too aggressive, so he didn't ever spot this. He saw a few villagers moving out, but he wouldn't have thought too much of it. A lot of farmland, a lot of woodland here. And unexposed. Despite the fact it is exposed. Because although it's accessible, Lucifron is unlikely to look here anytime soon. Instead, he'll probably look to just go straight into the base. However, this keep could tip him off. If he gets in attack range of it and Capoch's keep automatically attacks him, he might just turn and burn. But it looks like instead he's going to shift in quickly towards the primary TC. Now, this is dangerous. Although Capoch will protect this eco expansion, remember, all of his landmarks are located in his base. And this keep, he's trying to get it down. The Knights, they're butchering them pretty quick. This is going to be tight. He will just about complete it, but it cost him a lot of the villagers again. There it is. We'll go up successfully. However, Lucifron doesn't care about the south side anymore, folks. He got through your central defenses. He's in on the north. And you don't have a keep there. You don't really have the room for it. You got too many buildings everywhere. Emergency repairs for the first time in the game coming out from Capoch. Who cares? He'll just go deeper. Man-at-arms in the composition now. With crossbowmen here as well. The only way this gets better for Lucifron is if he can drop a forward outpost or keep, get that attack speed buffer, and all of a sudden it's lights out for Capoch. And you have to wonder, where's the recovery point? What is your bounce back if you are the HRE here? Well, he's trying to prep spears to deal with the knights. Really needs some Langsneck in the mixer. I think Langsneck is his one way back. There's no Mangonel, so you don't have to worry about that. However, you do have to worry about Trebs. Burn down, outpost instantly gone. Movement in, primary TC exposed. Don't care too much about it, mind you. Remember, House of Swabia, that's where we're printing them. Why would I pay 50 when I can pay 12? Seems trivial. But the more important detail is this is one of the conditions for winning. Get rid of the landmarks, win the game. So Lucifron will want to target out in the end anyway. This raid through is going to pin Capoch into the back of his base. Needs to engage soon. 10 Langsneck here. Crossbows and archers can pick them apart from afar before they can gap close. Needs to be careful in these choke points, though. You can see the damage they can do. Just one or two of them getting in and swinging those swords. More troops marching in. Lucifron running through, looking for anything that's exposed, like, say, a wood line that you're desperate to rely upon. Just one or two knights could butcher this line. Good thing that there's a man-at-arms here to stop them. Meanwhile, the mosh pit goes on. Langsneck surrounded, but this is what they want. This is what they thrive on. The problem is there's barely any of them left. The Langsneck are all dead. Lucifron is non-stop here. It's just a Zerg factor of 11 out of 10. And he can afford it. That's the difference. So much bang for buck. Never running out of resources. Always in flux. Capoch running out of those vital military buildings that allow him to keep up with the pressure. Allow him to even up the distribution and ensure that he can buffer his opponent back. And that is why Lucifron, every time he gains a foot further into the base of Capoch, you can feel Capoch slipping into demise. Bombard with the Treb, making quick work of the keep. Cannon upgrade might come just in time for it to be blown up. Need to protect the siege weapons, though. Lucifron is going to back the Bombard up, just out of range. Chase in from the man-at-arms. Need to burn it down, not let it get away. They will get through it, and they'll turn onto the Treb next. However, that's a bigger ask. They won't be able to get through it in time, which means Lucifron should slowly be able to kill this keep, but too late. Repairs come out. Emergency repairs in the meantime used on the primary TC. Capoch refuses to give up. He can't. This is his last hope. N4C, $100,000 tournament. If he gets eliminated here, he has no way of making it. So he will hold on to the bitter end. And although the HRE are good at doing that, you have to admit he's running out of places to run and hide. More importantly, running out of places to rebuild this military district. He will find a little bit of wiggle room at the back of his base. Movement in underneath the keep. Slaughters anything that tries to reinforce. More siege weapons needed on the front for Lucifron. Lucifron not pushing them out, though. He just keeps up the slog of spearmen and man-at-arms, and that's pretty much all he feels he needs. That and the golden hats, the crossbow lads. Very quickly just butchering these MAAs. Not really seemingly caring about the existence of the keep either. And this Treb seems to be drunk. He will finally redirect his power. It's been a while, but it's been staring into the abyss. Really wants one or two more siege weapons, I feel like, or a closer forward base. I feel like Lucifron is just kind of throwing bodies at the equation, but not really gaining any more ground. Capoch, 90 eco, 133 for Lucifron, so Lucifron's still vastly ahead. He's tapping those resources. This really is just like, it's a flex right now. Lucifron is like, I can afford this. Look, I can afford this. I can afford this. I can afford this. I can afford this. You wanted me to take you to dinner? I can afford it. And Capoch is like, I really need to save up for that first house, man. Oh, well, good luck with that, buddy. Because if Lucifron gets this keep down, you won't even be able to afford the down payment. Very important that Capoch rallies himself here. This could be the beginning of a comeback, but then you have a look at the resources and you realize it is very difficult. Lucifron is flirting way too much with his economy side here. He could actually afford to sacrifice some of it just to push out more military units. But right now, it's just this Congo line of death for his troops. I don't think the English lads knew that when they signed up for this war, this is what they were in store for. Death. And this keep is ambitious. Especially with Langsneck here. He'll instantly cancel and move away. Ensure the full refund. Needs to get a little bit more of a foothold before he tries that again. And here we go. Bombards. This is what I need to see. More siege weapons coming out. I like he a lot. Archer count, very healthy. Langsneck not looking healthy. Even these man-at-arms with the fire arrows, my god. One volley is enough to blitz them. And that's before we start talking about literal arrow volley in this game. And now the keeps are being dropped. You haven't seen these lads juiced up with attack speed, but don't worry, my friends, you will soon. Lucifron holding against this front line. No wraparound opportunity. Capoch quickly just disintegrating to the incoming firepower. More bombards arriving. 3 will be enough to breach that keep, and then it is going to be lights out for Capoch. He needs a solution. He needs it fast, but it's all static. No dynamic units, no way to move across, and no anti-siege either. Means that this is starting to get a little bit worrisome for Capoch. And this keep might secure his northern front, but who cares? It has been a long slog, my friends. It has been a long day. But Lucifron, he's had enough of this. Once this keep is down, that is when he has the foothold he needs. And Capoch, if he can not deny this now, is in deep waters. Which is funny for a map that has no water. And he is drowning amongst the blue. Keep's going to be complete. Bombards are going to be repaired. And your keep will fall quickly now, my friends. With this attack speed buffer from the network of castles, it's boom time. And there's no way you'll be able to repair it quick enough. Just look how quickly it disintegrates. Secondary keep now going down from Lucifron. R3 turns Capoch's to rubble. No way they could keep it alive. No stone reserves, so nothing Capoch can do. Push in now. That's the foothold he needed. Now he will stick his foot down on the neck of the beast. Capoch falling back further. Regnitz Cathedral next to be boomed off of the hit list. And Lucifron could easily just rinse this one landmark at a time. What a way that Lucifron has done this, though. It took 47 minutes. But he's there, and he's not letting up. Landmark's about to crumble as the Regnitz Cathedral is going to fall. There goes your gold trickle. That's not even there anymore. Capoch on his last line. TC to be targeted. Arkan Chapel in range as well. And Capoch, he refuses to give up even though it's over. He refuses to type GG, but don't worry, my friend. Lucifron will see you into that dark night. He'll guide you down your path with the power of the bombards. And with more keeps being dropped, it's almost like Lucifron wants to be the HRE in this game, as he will plant a flag in Capoch's base and plant a sword in his chest. As Capoch will not make it to the N4C main event, Lucifron will continue through to day number 2, and he will have a second shot at going through to the main event and joining his bro Vortex and the other members that have already made it to the N4C LAN. And what a way to do it. England versus HRE. Hill and Dale, 48 minutes in. Lucifron, almost like he's just trying to prove a power play up against Capoch. Prove a point, in fact. Takes him on what is considered one of the strongest maps for HRE in late game as England. And what a way to do it. What a fantastic way. In this game, it looked dicey. 15 to 20 minute mark. Lucifron, it looked uncomfortable. He couldn't complete the enclosure. The stone walls didn't go down. All of a sudden, you look at this game very differently. You think Capoch has been delayed, but there's a quick timing. He can reach it. But what does Lucifron do? He realizes the awkwardness of his situation. He realizes that there's a futility to what he's doing. He instantly shuts down the aggression and looks to not only tech up, but add in additional TCs, getting the Passer Swabia effect without being HRE. He swabified his way through this game. He swabbed his way across the map, cleaning it and picking it dry. Gold, wood, whatever it was gone. Arriving in that Imperial Age, ensuring he also solidifies late game gold control, matching that of the HRE, because, of course, the power of enclosures is able to generate so much from your farms. It was a case of the only person who was going to run out here was always going to be Capoch. Capoch, despite his best efforts to hold on, it's always going one way, and he's never able to sally forth and take control of the game. Really well played by Lucifron. I think this is a credit to the way he played this game. You could argue that Capoch maybe missed his timings, needed to seize weapons on the front, could have pushed in a little bit quicker, but really big credit to Lucifron. Like, I don't think anyone expects that type of power switch. Instantly into eco after 20 minutes of aggression is not exactly the easiest thing to pull off. Lucifron was dancing a very lethal dance in this game, but he pulls it off elegantly, and he makes it look like he's been doing this salsa for years. What a fantastic play. What a great way to round out the day, as Lucifron will proceed through to day number 2 of the second qualifier for N4C, keeping his hopes of going through to the $100,000 LAN alive, where tomorrow he will have quite the challenge ahead of him. Because it's not BO3s. It's going to be a slog. It's going to be a best of 7 between Lucifron and Keo. That's right, Keo continues to murder Australians with no mercy, as he has been brutalizing them. Keo, if you are unfamiliar, was able to 2-1 Hut. He 2-1'd Iaguz. And tomorrow, Lucifron will try to hold up the honor and avenge the Aussie bros, as they have been denied an opportunity to make it to the LAN. But Lucifron can at least spike Keo at the end of the day. I'm excited for that one. Of course, all these series are going to feature one by one tomorrow, so we'll be able to catch all the action. So, fingers crossed, we're going to get some good ones. But, my God, what a play from Lucifron to round out the day. Really well played by him. Really well played by Capoch. Commiserations, of course. Now he has no way of qualifying to that LAN. But this was always going to be filled with kind of heartbreak situations. There's only 6 players were being really accurate. 6 players make it through from these qualifiers. 2 already being qualified from previous events, those being Demuslim and Viper. There's very finite slots, and there's just so many people you wish could be there. So Capoch won't make it. Lucifron keeps his hopes alive, and we'll have to see how he can do when we check in with him tomorrow.